Hello YouTube, this is rwheatley0206 and welcome to a new series that I'm starting today, which this is Tuesday, but I'm going to be putting this up on Wednesdays every week, Wednesday evenings. This new series is called Weekly Comic Book Artist Spotlight, and we're going to start the series with an artist that he's not been around for a long time, but he is very popular right now, and his name is Stanley Lau, and his pen name is Artgerm, so you may know him mostly as Artgerm. But anyway, basically this series, I'm wanting to help people know different types of art that these people do, or be able to recognize their art. So if you're a big Artgerm fan, then you know what to look for when you go out looking for books, and you can look for his style and so on. But just to give you a little background on Stanley Lau, he is originally born and bred in Hong Kong, and he only started doing comic book art about 10 years ago. And you'll notice that all he ever does is comic book covers. He doesn't do internals. He says that he has no desire to really do the inside artwork for a book because there's so much more time involved. And see, he has his own company. He started, what's the name of it? Oh yeah, Imaginary Friends Studios. He started that, and that's where he does most of his work. But comic book art is not all he does. Like I said, he's only done that in the last 10 years. I think his earliest comic books were from 2009. And he has put out, I believe, over 100 comic book covers. And that some of them are A covers, some of them are variant covers. But he has done a lot of A covers. So, you know, finding his books in the wild is not impossible, but finding some of them cheap is very, very difficult. I have a few that I got really lucky on a couple of books of his that I really got them for way under what they're going for. But anyway, so like I said, I'm going to start out with Artgerm, and then every week I'm going to do a different comic book artist, give you some background information, and show you some of the artwork that they do so you have an idea of what to look for. So I want to start out with Black Cat. This is a fairly recent one that he did. And one thing I do want to kind of point out, if you pay attention, especially on his women, when he draws women, their face all have a very similar tone to them. Here's another one, and if you notice the face shape, it's a little different, but there's a lot of aspects of his drawing that shows up in the face that makes it very very noticeable. But I want to show you several examples, because he also draws men. Not nearly as often as he does women, but he does draw men as well. And I want to show you some examples of that. But here's another good example of his art. This is a Batgirl number 11. This is from 2012. And you can see that, I'll get the glare off of it. His artwork is very fluid, very somewhat anime style, but he combines you know, Western style with anime style, and he has a very nice combination. This is one of my favorite books of his, Batgirl number 12. This book is hard to find for a reasonable price. I ended up buying this book with a lot of like 180 books. So I virtually don't even have $1 in this book. So here's another example, Birds of Prey. This is also from 2012. This is another Birds of Prey, number 11. I believe this one is also from 2012. So that's a few books, and I'm going to show you more, but right now I'm just kind of trying to give you an idea of his style. Now I want to show you some books that he has done of different male superheroes. We'll start out with Spider-Man. He's very detailed on the muscular part of the body and so on. And you'll notice that he makes his men figures, it seems like he makes them very, they're not near as bulky as most artists make their men. But I'll show you, here's a Batman book. Well, actually this is Justice League #1. But you notice Batman's not as bulky as he is in many other artists' rendition of Batman. This is Captain Atom #1. Then another one of my favorites, Flash #8. But you notice he makes them muscular, but he doesn't make their muscles massive like most comic book artists do. And here's another one of Batman. You can really tell on this one. This is Detective Comics #12 from February 2011. And you notice Batman is very slender, yet he's very muscular. So that's definitely something that you know, that shows up in his style. So there's some examples of male and female. Now I've got several other books that I want to show. Some of these are recent. Most of these are within the last year, I would say. So anyway, this is one of my very favorites, Catwoman. But you'll notice that facial features for the women are very similar from book to book, and his fluidity of their form and their shape is just outstanding. And he doesn't go overboard, you know, like a lot of artists, and I don't necessarily mean overboard, but a lot of artists like to do the women like they do the men and make them very bulky. But here's a Supergirl, and you can see the face shape and the eyes and things are very similar. Now she looks a little more oriental, in her eyes and so on, but you know, the pointed chin, the face shape, you know, it's very similar to what you would see in other books or other artwork that he does. This is another one of my favorites, Supergirl #18. And he's very good with the retro art. You know, that retro Catwoman looks very nice, and so does this Supergirl. And this is probably one of my favorite Supergirl art pieces. This is #16. Here's another Batgirl, and this one is from 2010. I don't have any of his artwork from 2009. And then here's Wonder Woman #51. I do want to pull up another, well, if I can find it here. I wanted to kind of put, let's see, maybe it's deeper in the stack, but anyway, here's a Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider #1 by Artgerm. And this one is Fantastic Four Wedding Special of She-Hulk. This is one of them that I find that he did make She-Hulk fairly bulky, but she's She-Hulk, you know, she is bulky, she gets huge. And there's this one here. This is the short hair version of the life of Captain Marvel. And then this is the Walmart variant with the longer hair. Symbiote Spider-Man #1. Now this one's a little unique. And this is, yeah, Year of the Villain #1. So cheated, but yet you can still kind of see the same fluidity and the same face shape and so on in this book as well. Now if you look at this book here, this one just came out, I mean, in the last few weeks. Arrow #1. And she is definitely Oriental. But when you compare her face with her face, let me get these a little closer to you here. You can see that there's some definite similarities. Sorry about the glare. Same way with where did that one go? Yeah, like if you compare this artwork with this one, you know, the pointy chin, the rounded bottom on the ears, you know, just and the cheekbones and stuff. I mean, you know, they're very, at least to me, they're very easy to distinguish. And then when he does one like this, though, this one has a little more, to me, it's a little more Americanized, but still yet you see that same type of shape face, but the flow of the hair, different things like that, you know, the body shape and so on. He's pretty consistent in the way he makes, you know, female bodies and so on, and male bodies for that matter. So that's basically what I wanted to show you for Artgerm. I hope that helps out with finding, you know, books that he's done. Oh, one thing I didn't show you. Yeah, I think you can see this one pretty good. Now, not always, but where'd it go? Here it is. Right here, if you can see that. I don't know if I can get it close enough to. You can see his signature right there above my finger. It usually looks more or less like an A and a G, but sometimes, like in this case, he actually spells out art and then puts a G on the end of it. Now, the A and the G are most prominent in his signature, but you won't always find his signature on a book, but it's usually, if you do, it's fairly small, and sometimes it's not real standout-ish, because he makes it a lot of times. Now, like this one here, a lot of times it's close to the same color as like the background and so on. But in the case of this one, we'll see if you can see this one. Where do you go? Right there. Come on, focus. Can you see it right here by this finger? It is actually in white. Having a little trouble getting this to focus. Yeah, that's a little better. But anyway, back it up a little, maybe that'll help. So if you can see that, it's very distinctive. His signature is very distinctive. But like I said, a lot of the older books, if I remember right, the Batgirl book, some of them from like 2010, did not have, well, actually the one from 2010 does have it. but I know there's a lot of the older books that didn't have his signature on the cover. Unfortunately, it looks like, you know what? I apologize, guys. I actually pulled a book that is not an Artgerm cover. Not sure how that got in my Artgerm box, because I have a box that's nothing but Artgerm covers. But I mean, this does look similar to Artgerm's work, but it's actually not. It's Jim Lee. This one here is not an Artgerm book. I just wanted to make that clear, because I did show that one as an Artgerm book, and when I went to pick it up, I realized, oh, this is not an Artgerm book. So anyway, but the rest of them are guaranteed. But yeah. So anyway, I hope that helps you guys to identify some of the aspects of his artwork or some of his style, so that there's actually another artist out now that, and I have mistaken his artwork for Artgerm's, and he's fairly new. He's done a couple of Supergirl books here recently, and when you first see it, you think it's an Artgerm book until you check it out and find out that it's not. And I can't remember the guy's name. I'll have to try to remember that for the next video. But oh, one other thing I want to mention, in case anybody's wondering, Silver Age Dave, he's not done a video in a month or so. So I reached out to him a few days back to make sure everything was okay with him and stuff. So he wanted me to let everybody in the community know that he is just fine. He's just been super busy, and he's had a lot of stuff going on this summer, and he's not really had time to make videos or, you know, much else. So so anyway, just to let everybody in the community know, Silver Age Dave is fine. He's just too busy to really make any videos right now. So he asked me to let everybody know that, so I'm letting you know. Okay? Now, next week, I wanted to do Artgerm first for the first episode, because he's a newer artist, and I thought, you know, there's a lot of maybe new collectors that may recognize him more than they do the older guys. So, but I'm gonna mix this up. I've got probably 35 or so artists that I want to spotlight. So the next week's episode is going to be on none other than Neal Adams. So I will be showing Neal Adams' artwork and discussing him in next week's episode. My intention is to record these every Tuesday and then put them up Wednesday afternoon after I get home from work. Sweating. And then I'm going to do it every week. And also, I wanted to let everybody know that I really appreciate the feedback I've been getting on my comic book community want list. It seems like the majority of people are saying, you know, maybe going to once a month would be a good idea. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I may go ahead and do another video this Saturday and then tell everybody then, you know, hey, I'm going to extend this out to monthly instead of weekly. So anyway, that's the plan for the community want list. I do want to, I'll probably do, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do a video for this coming Saturday, simply because I already know of one person who's added to the list. So I want to go ahead and follow through with my weekly thing this Saturday. And after that, and then I'll make an announcement then saying that I'm going to move it to monthly and see if that works better. So anyway, I think that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy this series. Please let me know. Give me some feedback on this video and let me know, if it was informative, if you liked it, if you're looking forward to artists on down the road. Like I said before, I'm going to do artists that are relatively new artists, and I'm also going to do artists that's, from back in the 50s, 60s, and so on and so forth. I want to make it a large variety because we have a lot of new people coming into the community, and watching some of their videos, I know that they're not real familiar with some of the artists, and even if they are familiar with them, they don't know that much about them, and may not know that much about their art style and so on. So I just want to kind of help bring the community to a higher level of recognition, so that when you're looking for books out there, if you have a specific artist that you're trying to find books for, maybe it'll give you a little better idea of what to look for, and and so that, because a lot of times you don't catch, Alex Ross, for instance, most of the time you can tell it's Alex Ross because of his style, because he's more realistic. It looks, but anyway, with Artgerm, he has a distinct style, and for the most part, it's very easy to recognize. And sometimes you just have, sometimes there's a book that came out last week, Blade Runner, what was it? Blade Runner 2019, I think's the name of it. It's the first book that Artgerm did for that. And I don't have that book because I didn't realize it was his art, because it's kind of different from what he usually does. It's a dark background. It's a woman kind of standing sideways. She's got short black hair, and you don't really see a lot of the aspects of his style in this in particular comic book cover, because if I remember right, she's got like a trench coat or something on. She's covered up. You don't see her body shape. Basically you see some of her face, and her hairstyle is not like I would expect to see Artgerm do, because normally their hair is flowing, or if their hair's short, it's like sticking up, or whatever. So I didn't even recognize that as being an Artgerm book, because I saw it and it's like, it didn't interest me. And then I found out it was an Artgerm book, and I'm like, that's really weird, because it doesn't stand out to me as an Artgerm book. But so anyway, I've just showed you a few of my Artgerm books. I have probably, I don't know, 70, 80, something like that, Artgerm covers, and not necessarily different Artgerm covers. Actually, I probably have over 100 covers, but I've probably only got about 50 or between 50 and 60 different books. I have multiples of some, and so on and so forth, but I know he has well over 100 covers out there now, and so collecting them is definitely something that I'm doing, and so anytime I find one in the wild, it's like, wow, I can't believe I can even found this. But anyway, so I hope this helped. I've ranted long enough, so I'm going to let you guys go, and stay tuned for the next episode, which will be next Wednesday, and we will talk about Neal Adams. So until then, everybody have a great week, be blessed, and we'll see you all next video.